In 1920, the richest family in human history sat down for breakfast in New York. The father controlled a fortune that today would be worth hundreds of billions of dollars. The family name was on universities, hospitals, and entire city blocks of Manhattan. That morning, his 10-year-old son David asked for his weekly allowance. He received 25 cents. 25 cents from a family that could buy entire countries. And it came with conditions. Every single penny had to be recorded in a ledger book. 10% had to be saved. 10% had to go to charity. And if the ledger didn't balance at the end of the week, the allowance was cut. That boy, David Rockefeller, would later become one of the most powerful bankers on earth. And he kept that childhood ledger his entire life. This wasn't cruelty. It was the most deliberate wealth training system ever designed inside a family. And here's what makes it worth your next 8 minutes. While almost every rich family in history lost everything by the third generation, the Rockefellers are still wealthy today, 150 years later. This system is why. To understand why the richest man alive paid his children almost nothing, you need to understand what John D. Rockefeller feared more than anything. It wasn't losing his money. It was his money destroying his children. Rockefeller grew up poor. His father was a con man who abandoned the family. Young John earned pennies digging potatoes and raising turkeys, and recorded every cent in a small book he called Ledger A. He kept that ledger like a Bible for the rest of his life. By 40, he was the richest man in America, and he saw what happened to the children of his wealthy peers. The Vanderbilt heirs were building marble mansions and burning through the greatest fortune in the country. Sons of millionaires were becoming famous for yachts, scandals, and bankruptcies. Rockefeller understood something that almost no wealthy parent understands. Even today, money you don't earn doesn't feel real, and money that doesn't feel real gets destroyed. So he made a decision that shocked his entire social class. His children would grow up functionally poor, inside the richest household on earth. What he built instead of handing out money was a complete system, with rules so specific, so strange, that they sound made up. But every detail is documented. And the third rule is the one that modern psychologists now say was decades ahead of its time. Rule 1. Nothing was free. The Rockefeller children earned money through work. Killing flies in the house paid a few cents. Catching mice. Pulling weeds in the garden. Shining the family's shoes. Chopping wood. Nelson Rockefeller, who later became Vice President of the United States, raised rabbits and sold them. His brothers grew vegetables and sold them to the family kitchen. Inside one of the wealthiest households in history, children were running small businesses to earn pocket change. The genius is in the psychology. A child who earns 25 cents by working understands what 25 cents actually is. A child who receives $1,000 for nothing understands nothing, except that money appears when you ask. Rule 2. Every cent was tracked. Each child kept a personal ledger, exactly like their grandfather's Ledger A. Money in, money out, every line accounted for. The ledgers were reviewed. Errors had consequences. Accuracy was rewarded with a bonus. By age 10, every Rockefeller child could do something most adults never learn to do: look at a written record and know exactly where their money went. Rule 3. The allowance was divided before it could be touched. 10% saved, minimum. 10% given to charity. The rest could be spent, but only with the ledger updated. Think about what this trains. Saving before spending, automatic. Giving before consuming, automatic. By the time a Rockefeller child became an adult, the three-bucket structure wasn't a discipline they had to maintain. It was simply how money worked. They had never experienced money any other way. Modern behavioral economists call this pre-commitment, removing the decision so willpower is never needed. Rockefeller built it into his children in the 1910s, decades before the science existed. And there was one more layer. The children wore hand-me-down clothes. The younger boys wore their older brothers' suits. The family that could buy every garment in Paris dressed their children in patched clothing. Visitors were stunned. Rockefeller didn't care. Appearance was consumption. And consumption was the enemy. earning, tracking, dividing. 3 rules, simple enough that any family could copy them tomorrow. But the results are where this story becomes almost unbelievable, because we can compare 2 families directly. Same country, same era, same scale of fortune. One used this system. One did the opposite. The Vanderbilts gave their children everything. Unlimited money, no conditions, no training. The result, the greatest fortune in American history was gone within 3 generations. By 1973, not a single Vanderbilt descendant was a millionaire. The Rockefellers gave their children 25 cents and a ledger book. The result, the family fortune has now survived 7 generations. Over 200 family members. Billions still under family control through trusts and a family office that the children, trained by ledgers, helped design. David Rockefeller, the boy from the breakfast table, ran Chase Manhattan Bank and lived to 101, the last surviving grandson, still keeping personal records of his finances. Nelson became vice president. John III built the Asia Society and Lincoln Center. Lawrence pioneered venture capital. Winthrop became a governor. 5 brothers. 0 Playboy collapses. 0 squandered inheritances. In the entire history of great American fortunes, this almost never happens. The difference wasn't intelligence. It wasn't luck. It was that one family treated wealth as a skill that must be trained, and the other treated it as a gift that could simply be handed over. Here's what this means for anyone building anything today. The Rockefeller system runs on 3 principles, and none of them require a fortune. First, money must be earned to feel real. Whatever you give your children, attach it to contribution, not as punishment, as calibration. Second, what gets written down gets understood. A ledger is not accounting. It's awareness. The person who tracks every dollar can never be surprised by their own finances. Third, divide money before you touch it. Save first. Give a portion. Spend what remains. Make the structure automatic so discipline is never the bottleneck. And notice the deeper truth underneath all of it. Rockefeller wasn't teaching his children about money. He was teaching them that wealth is a system of behaviors, and that whoever masters the behaviors controls the money instead of being controlled by it. The Vanderbilts inherited cash. The Rockefellers inherited an operating system. Only one of those survives contact with the real world. 25 cents a week. A ledger book. 3 buckets. The richest man in history could give his children anything. He gave them the only thing that lasts.